Good morning, dear children. Today we are moving to a new chapter of politics, that is electoral politics. In this chapter, you will understand how the representatives are elected. The chapter begins with the topic of why elections are necessary and useful in a democracy. Then it further explains how electoral competition among parties serves the people. The basic idea that the chapter tries to convey to the distinguish democratic elections from non-democratic elections. So, moving into the chapter electoral politics. Why do we need elections? Elections take place regularly in any democracy. There are more than 100 countries in the world in which elections take place to choose people representatives. The mechanism by which people can choose their representatives at regular intervals and change them whenever they want. It is so called an election. In an election, the voters make many choices. They can choose who will make laws for them, they can choose who will form the government and take major decisions. They can choose the party whose policies will guide the government and lawmaking. What makes an election democratic? Minimum conditions of a democratic election include the following points. First one, everyone should be able to choose their own representative. Second, parties and candidates should be free to contest elections and should offer some real choices to the voters. Third one, elections must be held regularly after every few years. Fourth one, the candidate preferred by the people should get elected. And the last, election should be conducted in a free and fair manner where people can choose as they really wish. Is it good to have a political competition? Elections are all about political competition. The competition takes various forms. At the constituency level, it takes the form of competition among several candidates. Here are a few reasons that support political competition as being good for people. Regular election competition provides incentive to the political parties and leaders. Political parties knows that if they raise issues that people want to be raised, the popularity and chances of victory will increase in the next election. On the contrary, if they fail to satisfy the voters within their work, they will not be able to win again. If a political party is motivated only by the desire to be in, despite that, it will be forced to serve the people. What is our system of election? Elections are held in India in Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha regularly after 5 years. After 5 years, the term of all elected representatives come to an end. Elections held in all constituencies the same time either on the same day or within a few days is called a general election. Sometimes elections are held only for one constituency to fill the vacancy caused by the death of or resignation of a member. This is called a by-election. Electoral constituency. India is divided into different areas for the purpose of elections. These areas are called electoral constituencies. The voters living in an area elected on one representative. For Lok Sabha elections, India is divided into 543 constituencies. The representative elected from each constituency called a member of parliament or an MP. Each state is divided into a specific number of assembly constituencies. In this case, the elected representatives is called the member of legislative assembly or an MLA. Each parliamentary constituency has within it several assembly constituencies. The same principle applies for panchayat and municipal elections. Each village or town is divided into several wards that are like constituencies. Each ward elects one member of village or the urban local body. Sometimes these constituencies are counted as seats, for each constituency represents one seat in the assembly. Reserved constituencies. Some constituencies are reserved for people who belong to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. In Lok Sabha, 84 seats are reserved for SC and 47 for ST. In SC reserved constituencies, only someone who belongs to the scheduled caste can stand for election. Only those belong to the scheduled tribes can contest an election from a constituency reserved for ST. In many states, seats in rural or panchayat and urban, that is municipalities and corporations, local bodies are now reserved for backward castes, that is OBC and women candidates as well. Voters list. In a democratic election, the list of those who are eligible to vote is prepared much before the election and given to everyone, which is officially called an electoral roll and is commonly known as the voters list. It is the responsibility of the government to get the names of all the eligible voters to put on the voters list. The voters are required to carry election photo identity card when they go to vote so that no one can vote for someone else. But the card is not yet compulsory for voting as voters can show many other proofs of identity like the ration card or the driving license. In your textbook, you can see a map which shows the Lok Sabha constituencies. These are the constituent assemblies or the constituencies that is shown in India. Nomination of candidates. Anyone who can be a voter can also become a candidate in elections. The candidate should be a minimum of 25 years age. Every person who wishes to contest an election has to fill out a nomination form and give some money as security deposits. The candidate has to make a legal declaration giving full details of serious criminal cases pending against the candidate, details of the assets and liabilities the candidate and his or her family, educational qualifications of the candidate. This information is made available to the public so that voters can make their decisions on the basis of information provided by the candidates. This is all for today. Hope you understand this class. Rest of things will be discussed in the live class. Thank you, children.